All right, Thrive Nation, on today's edition of the Thrive Time Show, we're interviewing a woman who wants to become a congresswoman for the 17th Congressional District in Illinois. Her name is Esther Joy King, and she's running to become a congresswoman once again for the 17th Congressional District in Illinois. And she believes in protecting the U.S. Constitution because she believes that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, aka government works for you. All this and more on today's edition of the Thrive Time Show on your radio and podcast download.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
Now, 3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, and yes, Thrive Nation. It's the one and only Esther Joy King. How are you, ma'am?
Clay, it's great to be with you. I am doing wonderfully. I am running for Congress and having a blast doing it.
Now, I'm going to assume that the average listener is a busy mom or dad. We have about 500,000 listeners. They own businesses or they want to. And they might say, how does this whole Congress thing work? And why would you want to be a congresswoman? So let's start with that. Why did you decide that you felt compelled or called to run for Congress?
Clay, with everything happening in our country, I just had to ask myself, if not me, then who? And I decided to jump in and do something about it and be someone that gets off the bench and in the game.
Yeah.
And just like all your listeners, hi, everyone. It's so great to get to know you. I'm someone who takes action. And so I'm running for Congress to invest in our country, to serve our country, and to represent the people of the Illinois 17th Congressional District where I'm running.
Now, you're in Illinois, which I understand is very close to Crazy Town, USA. There's been some crazy people coming out of Chicago throughout the years. There's been a lot of corruption there. And I think the question that a lot of people in Illinois want to know right now is, what are your bedrock principles? You know, what do you know, when times get tough, what do you fall back on? Are you somebody who believes that the Bible's a literal document? Are you someone who believes in the Constitution? Do you believe we derive our rights from the Creator? And so let's talk about this a little bit. You were raised by missionary parents, I believe, in the U.S.-Mexico border. Tell us about this.
Yeah, Clay. Well, that was a jam-packed question. So
Sure,
let's
yeah.
take it bit by bit.
Yeah.
My bedrock principles, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Absolutely. I believe in the Constitution. Yes, I am a Christian, and I believe that we are called, that I am called to serve others, to be part of something bigger than myself. And that is definitely what motivates me on a day-to-day basis in running for Congress. And my story, my background, my parents were missionaries. I am honored to be part of a missionary family. I'm one of 5 kids. We grew up in Mexico,
Wow.
right on the border between El Paso, Texas, and Juarez, Mexico. And you can imagine, Clay, that when you grow up in that environment with those parents, they teach you serving others matters. And so that theme has carried through my whole career up to I am now a member of the United States Army. I joined the Army to serve my country, and I'm actually a lawyer, a JAG officer in the Army.
You don't look mean enough to be a member of the Army. You look like a nice person. You look, but you're tough too. So if somebody's saying, okay, well, let's kind of figure out you as a person here, because you look like a nice person. You look like you could be in doing marketing for a company, but you also are a tough woman. What's your educational background? Where'd you go to school? Walk us through that.
Well, I went to Oral Roberts University right there in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And so I love being a golden eagle. And then I did go to graduate school. So I went to law school, and Clay, inside of this nice, pretty face is a nerd.
Okay.
So at law school, I not only got a Juris Doctorate, a lawyer degree, but I also, for fun, on top of it, I got a Master's of Law in Taxation.
Whoa.
And then I practiced law for a time. And the way that I made it to the Army, I was at a law firm and was being recruited by the Army. And when they said, Esther, you can be a lawyer in the Army, but you can also shoot weapons and jump out of airplanes at the same time. And I said, sign me up.
Have you jumped out of airplanes?
I haven't yet. My greatest goal in my military career, though, is to be airborne.
Oh, no. I pray for you. You're a wild woman.
I want to go to airborne school more than anything else in my military career.
You are a fearless person. So what's happening right now all across the country is people in the great state of Illinois, they're going around their business. They're going about their business. They're taking their kids to soccer. They're taking their kids to volleyball. They're taking the kids to church. And all of a sudden, we hear about a virus coming at us from China. Comes from Wuhan. Then we say we got to take 2 weeks to pause. You see Dr. Fauci on TV. You see Deborah Birx, the scarf queen. We got to shut it down. 2 weeks to pause. 4 weeks to pause. 8 weeks to just stop it, stop the spread. And now we're 7 months later, and Pritzker, he's traveling freely, but the average person in Illinois can't. Pritzker seems to be having a good time. He's traveling, doing these kind of things, but the average person in Illinois can't. How would you handle the things that are going on now differently from how Governor Pritzker in Illinois is handling things?
Yeah, Clay, I get to talk with so many people in this experience of running for Congress. So I talk to business owners a lot. I've heard from several business owners just this week. There was a section of my congressional district, the northern part, that they were told to go back into lockdown because they had a spike, so to say, in cases. And the business owners are like, Esther, we're not going to make it through. We've already had one shutdown.
Correct.
If we shut down again, we're done. We can't survive this. And it's restaurant owners. It's like there's one person that I was talking to owns like a event center, and it is tough. And so we're definitely, Clay, I believe we're in this constitutional question. Like, it is a fight for our freedoms right now, particularly here in Illinois. But I'd say often to people, just to encourage them, and this is what I truly believe, Clay, just because it's a hard fight doesn't mean it's not a fight worth fighting. And this is what we're called to. Even my name is Esther, and I believe I'm here for such a time as this. And this is what I'm supposed to be doing, is standing up and saying, we have to open up and get our economy back up and running. We've got to do it safely. We've got to protect people and make sure our vulnerable populations are taken care of and secured and healthy and protected. But we can get back to work as an economy and as business owners.
And I'm going to throw out a hypothetical scenario for you, one that you have not been prepared for, because this is what the government's all about, okay? Now, I just want to get your take on this. If you, and again, I'm not saying you would have the power as a congresswoman to do all this. I'm just saying this hypothetically. If elderly people with comorbidities said, you know what, I want to stay home in quarantine, and the people that want to go out and shop and work and take their kids to volleyball wanted to do that, would you be okay with that if the average person wants to go out there and shop and take their kids to sporting events, and the people that have comorbidities and who feel like they're at risk wanted to quarantine? Would you be okay with the decisions made by both parties?
Yes, Clay. That is the hypothetical that you put up is a question of personal responsibility, understanding what our risks are and what we can handle from our perspective, whether we're young and healthy or whether we think we're at risk. Taking personal responsibility and understanding how our choices are going to affect others and making sure we're being a responsible citizen and part of the community, but being able to evaluate that risk for ourselves and then make appropriate decisions. That's exactly what freedom is about.
Now, what I'm going to try to do in these next 15 minutes or so is I'm going to try to poke holes in areas where I think, I'm not saying that you would be weak, but I think a lot of people listening might say, wow, I wonder if she knows anything about this. because, a lot of people run for office, but they've never done anything previous to running for office. So you've already mentioned the military background. You've mentioned you're kind of a nerd. You studied law. You got that going for you. What was your first job after you got out of college? Your first real job?
Well, in high school, I did retail. So I worked at a store in the mall. And then during college, I was a waitress. I worked at a little coffee shop, like bakery that served lunch.
So you've had real jobs. I mean, you're not somebody who's coming from, we'll call it Bidentown, USA, where all of a sudden your first real job is a six-figure job handed to you. You're not the Hunter Biden sort of individual that was given some. I mean, you've started at the bottom. You've had real jobs.
Right.
What would you say to people out there that are wanting to compare you versus your opponents? Because obviously you're running against somebody. And if we could focus on maybe the policy, you're not a person that would attack someone's character, but let's focus on the policies there. How are you different from the people you're running against?
Yeah. So my opponent, her name is Sherry Bustos. And Sherry has been in office for about 8 years. And during that time, she has become a creature of Washington, so to say. And she started out trying to be a bipartisan, maybe voting across and working with Republicans. However, right now, she votes 100% of the time with Nancy Pelosi, and she votes 94% of the time with Ilhan Omar and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And when I talk to people here, we are Midwest through and through in Western Illinois. And they're like, what? No, that doesn't represent our values. That's not what we're about here in Western Illinois. And so, Clay, the experience that I have, and it's pretty exciting to be a part of, is about 60 to 70% of the time when I talk to someone, maybe they don't know who I am yet, or it's their first time getting to know what I'm doing running for Congress. By the end of the conversation, 2 out of every 3 times, someone is like, wow, yes, I'm all in with you, Esther. And we have so much excitement and momentum. And I think, Clay, what it's rooted in is people's hunger for change. We want a government that does work for us. The government is created. You mentioned earlier the Constitution and God-given rights. We all know inherently that our rights come from nature and nature's God, right?
Yep.
And it's not, our rights are not from the government. And so the government is meant to protect and serve us as people, as citizens. And that's inherent. We all kind of get that, and we understand that as Americans. And we want to return to that. And so getting to be a part of that and getting to be a voice and a representative of those values of a government that works for us has been just such an exciting part of this process.
I'm going to play a little clip of Nancy Pelosi, who you mentioned, because Nancy Pelosi yesterday was on CNN with Wolf Blitzer. And Wolf is, obviously left of center. He's on CNN. I just want you to hear this. And this, to me, demonstrates why you're a great candidate and why anybody who follows along with Nancy Pelosi is not. But I'm just going to cue up this audio, and I'm not going to paint you into a corner. I'm just going to play it, and I might play it twice if you want me to play it twice so you get your kind of sights on what she's saying. But this is Wolf Blitzer on CNN yesterday talking to Nancy Pelosi. Here we go.
Cheers.
And it's not about me. It's about millions of Americans who can't put food on the table, who can't pay the rent.
And we represent them. And we represent them.
Getting
and
by
we represent
these
them.
long food
and
lines
we represent
that we're seeing.
them.
I know
we
you
know
are.
them.
I'm just saying.
We represent them, and we know them.
As we
We
say,
know them. We represent them.
don't let the
Yes.
perfect be the enemy of the good, as they say
It
here
is
in
nowhere
Washington.
near perfect.
Madam Speaker.
Always the case, but we're not even close to the good.
All right, let's see what happens, because every day is critically important. Thanks so much for
Thank you for
joining
your
us.
sensitivity to our constituents' needs.
I am sensitive to them because I see them on the street begging for food, begging for money. Madam Speaker, thank you
Have
so
you
much.
fed them? We feed them. We feed them.
We'll continue this conversation down the road.
What do you think? I mean, she is so left of center now that Wolf Blitzer has to correct her. I mean, to show just a little compassion for allowing her citizens to get back to work. I mean, she's stopping. She is in favor of perpetual lockdowns, and Wolf has to say, time out. I mean, Wolf Blitzer, this is a very left person. How do you process what you just heard there?
Yeah. Well, Clay, I think Nancy Pelosi and the words that she was saying is very representative of how things have gotten flipped upside down, where the government and the Speaker of the House, as a representative of the government, believes that she is the answer. It reminds me of the quote from Ronald Reagan. Whenever you hear the phrase, I am from the government and I'm here to help.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, she thinks she's the solution to Americans' problems. And that I do not believe that even slightly. I believe Americans are the solution to Americans' problems, that we each have a responsibility to take ownership of our own lives and to stand up for ourselves. And of course, accept support from a community. And there is responsibility at the governmental level to help citizens when they fall down and maybe can't get back up on their own and need some assistance. However, the government is not the answer, Clay.
To supply some backup reinforcements, not that you need them, but I want to make sure we quote this. President Ronald Reagan once said, he said, the most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. You're dead on. And then you were talking earlier about how we derive our rights, how we get our rights from God. And I want to take everybody back because I know some of us went to public school where there's some serious indoctrination going on. So I wanted to introduce the Declaration of Independence into that conversation and see if you could kind of break down this little passage for me. And I'm reading from the Declaration of Independence. It reads, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Mm-hmm. What does that mean to you?
Yeah. Well, it means to me that the government's role is to serve us as citizens, deriving the consent from the governed, that the government isn't allowed to do anything without the citizens' permission. And we've gotten to such a point in our culture, and we're having conversations in regular dialogue right now that should we be a socialist country? Should we move so far to the left that the government makes decisions for people?
Boo.
And that is not the direction that we should head in as America. We are again, to go back to Reagan, we are the shining light on the hill.
Correct.
And so many countries look to us as an example of freedom and how freedom operates in a country. And so that is, again, to go back to my motivations, that is why I'm jumping in to say, if not me, then who? And I would even just encourage everyone who's listening to this interview and this conversation that we're having, Clay, to ask yourself that question, because each and every one of us has the capacity to make a difference, whether it's just stepping up and running for local office at the county level or running for mayor in your city or your town. Whatever way we choose to get involved in, it doesn't have to be in politics. It could be volunteering. It could be, just taking an evening a week to go work at the soup kitchen. Like, every single one of us can give a little bit more, do a little bit more, love a little bit more to create the world that we want to live in.
You've traveled around a lot. I've traveled around. After I sold my first business, I traveled quite a bit. And it seems like every time I would go to Puerto Rico, Mexico, to Brazil, to Honduras, to Canada, to insert the place I went, people always wanted to come here. And although America's not perfect, it's not perfect, it is far better than the rest of the world. Even the poorest of the poor in America have it so much better than a lot of the people that I met in Honduras and Brazil, these kinds of things. And I think the argument that's being put out there is that maybe America needs a reset and maybe we need to move into socialism. I don't think people recognize what that means, because socialism is the step one to communism. And every time a country switched to communism, whether it be Cuba, whether it be North Korea, whether it be Venezuela, USSR, it doesn't go well. Can you speak to why capitalism is better than socialism?
Certainly, Clay. You're exactly right. As I understand it, socialism and communism have been tried 100 times across the globe in the last 100 years. And Clay, the result has been the death of 100 million people. We know that there is this inherent urge and desire for us as humans to have freedom and to move towards personal responsibility and taking ownership of our own existence and having human rights. And so socialism and communism go against the nature of who we are as just human beings. It is a government coming in and saying, we'll take care of you. It's almost a nanny state, so to say. The government, particularly when you go to communism, governments control the mechanisms of production. They control all the services and functioning of a society from top to bottom. And then human beings are just inserted as cogs in the system of government. Whereas capitalism and democracy, and of course we have a constitutional republic here in the United States.
Yep.
These systems are putting the humans, us, at the center, and we drive the bus, and then the government has to do what we tell it to do. So it's kind of flipping, the two systems are flipping it on its head. One says government is most important and people are meant to serve the government. And the other says we, the people, are the most important and the government is meant to serve us.
You know, just researching you, you're the kind of person that would have my vote, but I'm in Oklahoma, and so I can't vote. So what I can do on our show, we don't take, advertisements. We don't do advertisers. I just get people on the show and let them share. I get freedom-loving Americans on the show. I tend to shy away from the communist people that want to be on the show, and we do have communist people that want to be on the show. So I guess
I believe in dialogue. All the ideas and best ideas rise to the top.
So I'm going to let you. You have the mic. How can people support you, vote for you? Where can they learn more? Because it is such a critical election year. Where can they learn about you? Help us help you.
Yeah, thank you, Clay. Well, first of all, to tell a little bit more about the race, this race in the Illinois 17th Congressional District. So my district is on the western side of the state of Illinois. It includes the Rockford area. It includes the Quad Cities area. It includes Peoria and everything in between. If you live in that area, you can vote. You can already vote early. You can vote on election day. You can mail in your ballot, however you want to vote. Vote for Esther Joy King and tell all your friends too. And if you don't live in this area, you can support financially. Clay, the race that we are in right now, we are winning this race. We are neck and neck in the polling with my opponent, so much so, in fact, that the National Republican Party has said, Esther, we think this is the #1 pickup opportunity for Republicans in the entire country.
Come on.
So we can win this seat.
Yes.
And I need help. What we're doing, we're winning this election. We're dominating on messaging. We're talking about how we need to get reopened, of course, safely. But let's get back to
real quick, I hate to cut you off because you're going to be Congresswoman here. Devin, we got to grab my credit card and we got to donate right now. We got to do it. Because talking about donating is a problem. We got to do it. That's the solution. So help me. Devin and I are going to donate right now to you. Okay. Where do we need to go right now?
Yes. EstherForCongress.com is the website. There's a donate button on the website.
Esther for Congress. Okay. We're going there right now.
It's ESTHER. My name has an H in it. And the 4 spelled out. So Esther for Congress.
Oh, there you are. You look pretty happy on your website. I see. You're looking like you're a confident winner. Okay.
Clay, every dollar matters. We are trying to stay up on TV right now, getting the message out. The messaging is working, like I was saying. And the more we're able to get the message out, the quicker we will win this election. We absolutely can win. And everyone that's willing to give $5, $25, $100, $500, the most that one individual is allowed to give, Clay, is $2,800.
Let me say this. You can't say this. I'm going to say this for just a second.
Okay.
Folks, if you're listening right now and you want your kids to enjoy the same standard of freedom that you've enjoyed up to this point, it is absolutely vital that you donate at least $5 right now. Now, you might say, Clay, I cannot donate $5. And I would say to you, if we were face-to-face, and I know we're not, but if I were, I would say to you, why don't you go on a fast for the next meal? Okay? because there's a lot of communist countries where they go on a fast for the whole year because the government took over their farms and therefore they're having food shortages. And if you don't believe me, do a search right now for Venezuela food shortage. Look it up. This is real stuff. So what we have to do is we've got a sacrifice. For somebody, it might be you're going to fast a burrito today for lunch. Somebody else, you say, I'm going to fast today. That's about $20, okay? You're saying, I'm not going to go to Chipotle. I'm not going to go to the gas station and buy regrettable burritos. I'm going to donate something. But if you don't donate $5 right now, and it's okay, I'll wait. If you're not going to donate $5 right now to go to estherforcongress.com, I don't want you listening to my show. I want you to fast from my show. Like, don't listen to my show. Get off my show. Because I'm being serious. This is super important. I'm not messing with you. And you say, well, I can't afford to fast. I'm telling you, if you are not going to donate at least $5, just please fast from my show. Don't listen. It'll be myself and just God-fearing Republican people who love this country. We've got to donate right now. And again, Esther, I know I'm pretty aggressive going for the close here, but this is so important, and I wouldn't have you on. This is a business show. And folks, let me tell you, you can't even be
fasting lunch now. You have convinced me. I am not eating, maybe for the rest of the day, and I am donating to my campaign.
You got to. I'm just telling you, folks, if you are listening right now and you're saying, well, I thought this was a business show. Let me tell you, it's hard to be in business right now in Illinois. You know why? Because Pritzker's got the place locked down. Restaurants going out of business. Churches closing down. It's hard to be in business. All the stuff we teach on the show about business does not matter if we're not open. So we've got to donate right now, estherforcongress.com. Esther, thank you so much for being on today's show, and I'll give you the final word.
Clay, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I am honored to be on a team with each and every American that's listening. We are in a fight for our country.
Yep.
And I'm proud to stand next to each and every one of you in this fight. So thank you, everyone, for being part of it with me.
Esther, you're a great American. You're smarter than me. You're tougher than me. You got the military background. You got the law background. You're a great American. I appreciate you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Clay. It's great to be with you.
All right, Thrive Nation, one more time. That was Esther Joy King right here on the Thrive Time Show on your radio and podcast download. If you live in Illinois and you happen to be located in the 17th Congressional District, make sure that you vote for this woman. Check out her website again. That's estherforcongress.com. That's ESTHERFOR Congress.com, estherforcongress.com. And without any further ado, we'd like to end each and every show with a boom, because boom stands for big, overwhelming, optimistic momentum. And so if you're ready, I'm ready. Hopefully you're psychologically prepared for me to bring the boom, because I'm psychologically prepared for you to receive the boom and to also give the boom. It's like a boomerang. I throw it out, you throw it back. We got to do the boom together. Even if you're in your car alone, you got to bring a boom. Listen, I know whether you bring the boom or not, okay? I've got tracers out there that are listening to you. They're watching you right now in your car to make sure that you are helping to spread herd immunity by yelling boom and putting water droplets into the air everywhere, thus helping create a herd immunity to jackassery all across the nation. So let's bring the boom. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom!
Pull it through the paint, wiggling it.